Wow. Welcome to Target. I'm your host, Atlas Aultman, former military commander turned best-selling author, now bringing you a podcast that you can use so that you can figure it out for yourself. Welcome. This is Targeted. All right, welcome back to Targeted. Today, I have opened up World War Studio. It's freshly redone. I have all my hunting stuff now. It's a wall of awesome, and I brought in an awesome guest for you today. In World War Studio, I have Brickman Allen. Now, Brickman Allen is an amazing man. You've probably seen him if you've been in the west side of the hemisphere. You've definitely seen him. He's got an amazing story. He's been on a couple big podcasts. He's been out there, but he is a speaker. He is an author, and he's a survivor that you're gonna want to talk to. He's a good guy. I've met him a couple times now, and with that, I want to introduce my audience. But how would you describe yourself if someone asked, "Who are you?"
Man, I mean, that's how most people describe me, right? But more than anything, I'm a man of God, a husband. I have an amazing wife that's just been my partner through all this. As we get into the story, you'll see that I'm alive today because of her, but mentally I'm sound because of her. So it's not just being a husband, it's being a partner in that marriage. So I'm excited to be here, kind of to dive into this.
Yeah.
And so appreciate the having me on, Atlas. That's awesome.
Oh man. Yeah, let's get into it.
Cool.
All right. So the story that everyone is seeing. You had been at home. You thought everything was secure, but a fishing pole prevented the garage from closing, right?
Yeah.
That's how it all started.
That's how it all started. You know, it's so funny because when I post stuff like this on TikTok and Instagram, people are like, "Hey man, you got to secure your house." Dude, I'm looking over my shoulder. I sit in restaurants. I'm seeing all the exit points. Like, that's who I've always been.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that people need to understand is sometimes we just let our guard down. We get comfortable in life. And when we get comfortable in life, we let our guard down, and that's when stupid things happen.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. You know, this fishing pole, I went fishing earlier in the week. It shifted. And back then, I mean, this was 20 years ago, the sensor on that garage, it wasn't as just quick to react.
Yeah.
It would go halfway down sometimes before it would react. So I went in the house thinking I'm safe. And literally some crazy dude walking through Arizona, 5 a.m., broad daylight out in July, sees an open garage, and he just walks right into my house.
So some dude, like, you know what I always thought when I heard this story, I'm like, what does this guy look like? But you saw him, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did you see him? Like, when's the first time you saw him?
I saw him when I woke up after being attacked. I mean, he came into my house, and I'm usually a light sleeper. He was able to go into my house at the deadest point when I was at my REM, right? That's when I'm out.
Yeah.
Went through some things, didn't find any money, and for some reason just grew angry and went into the kitchen, grabbed an 8-inch chef's knife, took off his shoes, and then stealthily crept into the master bedroom while I'm still asleep next to my 3.5-month pregnant wife of a year and 1 month, and stabbed me in the chest with the knife. And that's when I woke up, is when he was pulling the knife out of me to take another hit.
So he was stopping. He purposely, he got you, and then he stopped, or was he trying to get the knife out? Because the way I envision this, he stabbed you, you woke up.
Yeah.
And then your initial feeling is, what the heck's going on? But he's the attacker. He's thinking, I have to continue doing this.
What happens is I wake up to this just amazing pain because he hit me so hard with the knife. He broke 2 ribs with the handle. He put all 8 inches in and broke 2 ribs with the handle. Went through lung, diaphragm, and liver. And I wake up to my wife screaming and just a pain in my chest. And I see this man over me, and he was just a dark figure at that point.
Holy crap. Do you think it was a dream?
Yeah, it was like coming to reality. The thing that brought me to reality was my wife's scream. If I didn't have my wife screaming next to me, I probably would have thought it was a dream, and the adrenaline and the pain and everything like that. I mean, in fact, I ran into a paramedic after this happened, and he was the captain of Mesa Fire. It happened in the city of Mesa, and he was telling me he heard all about this from the other crew. And he came up to me and says, 90% of the men that this would have happened to would have just laid there and died. The other 10% would have lifted their head up and just died. And I think that people don't understand when you grow up with the identity. So I grew up just cowboy. My dad taught me a cowboy is a protector, and that's part of my identity.
Yeah.
When my wife's screaming next to me, I don't care if I'm half dead. That adrenaline kicks in, you're coming to action. And that's what happened is I hear my wife screaming. I just went into adrenaline, just pumped into me. And I just went into mode just to fight for her safety.
Wow. It's like Code of the West. I follow this Instagram,
Yeah.
profile. It's like Code of the West, and it's all the
love that
mindset
one.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I freaking love this. This speaks to me.
Yeah.
And how I was raised.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your childhood a little bit, and then I want to get back into this. But when you were growing up, what did you do? What did you had chores? What does your childhood look like?
Oh man, I had an awesome childhood. Back then, of course, as a child, I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
Right. Grew up just riding horses. I trained horses because I was kind of a smaller kid. And so, at 16 years old, I'm only 5 feet tall, about less than 100 pounds. I'm like 95 pounds. So I could get on these smaller horses that were causing problems in the neighborhood for kids. And so I was taught, you get bucked off, you get back on. It doesn't matter if your tears are coming out of your eyes and you're in pain, you just get back on. My dad would wake us up on Saturdays and we had chores to do.
Yeah.
It's something I implement with my sons. It's so crazy watching how many people in my neighborhood have landscape people come and do their jobs, their landscaping, and they have teenage boys.
Yeah.
And I take pride in the fact that my yard is not the prettiest yard in the neighborhood. My boys do all my landscaping.
Yeah.
Right. But that's how I was raised. My dad, he was awesome. So we listened to a lot of Louis L'Amour books.
Okay. Yeah.
And Louis L'Amour, it's always there's a guy that gets shot once and somehow comes out on top. Right. And I love that.
And you listen to him with him?
All the time.
Yeah.
On road trips. Like that was me and my dad. I still do it with my kids. And so I had this whole image in my head that the cowboy is larger than life, but I was smaller than everybody else. And so in my childhood, it was this weird dynamic where I was tougher than I thought, but at the same time, I struggled with depression and suicidal ideation. And so I had to create not only this mental toughness that was bigger than my physical toughness, right?
Yeah.
So the childhood, my parents did just such an amazing job. My mom, of all people, taught me how to be an entrepreneur. My dad taught me how to be a cowboy. And yet, if you see it, my mom rode horses more throughout her life than my dad. And my dad's been an entrepreneur his whole life. It was like reversal of roles, the way they taught me things.
That's so cool. In the fact that it all came together to make you who you were and who you needed to be in that one moment.
And it's incredible. So, I say that I'm a man of God. I put full faith in God and Jesus Christ in the sense that they knew at some point in my life, I would have this crazy obstacle and they put things in my path from this. I remember things I learned at 8 years old that prepared me. So when this happened, all these little lessons that God prepared me for helped me step up and be the man I needed to be.
It's amazing too, that when I've heard you tell the story, and I'll let you tell the story, how, you jumped out of bed, you started to fight immediately. Like that was an immediate thing for you.
Yeah.
That had to trigger something in your attacker. Like, I didn't expect this, or, because whenever, so I like violence. I've been in violence for a while. I study violence. What I notice is your adrenaline, when it kicks in, it makes you who you are.
Yeah.
You're either a fight, a flight, or a freeze type.
Yeah.
And you can control what you do based off of the training and your environment and what you've had in your life. And for you, you've had the fight.
Yeah.
And you've been told it's okay to fight. So this mindset shift in you.
Yeah.
You say, I heard this, I started to fight.
Yeah. My dad had this saying, you never start the fight, but you better well end it. You don't take the first punch, but you take the punch and then you end it, And my dad's not a violent man. I saw him one time, is the only time I've ever seen him at his angry stance. And we were at a hotel. My dad probably doesn't even remember this. I grabbed another hotel guest's towel.
Okay.
The guy got mad and he reached over and grabbed me. And I saw my dad step up. And I'm like, that was the first time I was ever scared of my dad. Only time I was ever scared of who my dad could be. But he controlled it, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And he taught me that. And, growing up being this little guy at 16 years old with this big name and being bullied, I learned how to take a hit.
It's a big name because everyone knew your family?
No, Brickman.
Oh, Brickman.
Yeah. You go to school with a name that's unusual. Yeah. People are going to make fun of it. And then it's this name that says that you're tough and then you're the little guy. They honed in on that, all those bullies.
Well, I mean, they're just jealous because you had a cool name, honestly. I mean, that's what kids do. But whenever that happens, it does trigger something for you to engage. I had an Osama on the show, and he got in a lot of fights because his name was Osama.
Yeah.
He's a pro fighter now, and he's a Hollywood actor. But like, we all have to overcome that,
Yeah.
in the names that we're called, and it's cool that you got to do that. I want to jump into something you said earlier. You thought you were small, but you knew that you were big. How did you prove that to yourself? Because a lot of kids today, they're looking at social media and the best things that people are putting out and the finished product, if you will.
Yeah.
And when we were growing up, man, it wasn't like that. You had to like figure that out for yourself.
Yeah.
So how did you figure that out?
What's interesting is to this day, I still think I'm small. It's that inner child that you fight, and it's that I can never escape it. I'm not a small guy,
No, you're not.
And so you get there, and what happened was, it was probably my lowest point when I was in high school, and I was absolutely just destroyed. I remember it was around the time where I was sitting there thinking, this is the weekend, I'm just going to take my life. I'm just done. And this substitute teacher stepped in and somehow saw that I was at this danger place. And he gave me this challenge. And the challenge was simply to talk to myself in the mirror, to tell myself, look myself in the eye and tell myself something great about me every day for 30 days and never repeat myself. And, at the beginning I would sit there and I'd just say, hey, you're nice. I'd say these little comments about that are easy. But after 2 weeks, I ran out of easy. And I remember the one time looking in the mirror and flexing and saying I was strong and thinking, was that true? And then I started to realize, the times that I'd been hit and just kept getting back up. And I'm like, I got bucked off horses. I've been kicked. I've been, bit by horses. I mean, I've had it all.
Yeah.
And I kept getting up. And I thought, that's strength.
Yeah.
Strength isn't lifting more than the next guy. It's not being the toughest person in the room necessarily. It's just getting back up every time. And one of my favorite quotes, there was a leader of my church. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, known as Mormons. His name was Gordon B. Hinckley. And my favorite quote is this. He says, all of us have the same track record, 100% of getting through hard days. And when you think about that, those hard days are what creates that strength. And so to me, it's powerful. And I kind of live by that motto is, knock me down, I'll just get back up.
On this topic, do you think that we've lost our way? Do you think our kids are weaker than what we were?
I think some of them are misguided in their strength. They're not weaker as much as they don't have the opportunity to prove themselves. And let me kind of put it this way. I have my oldest son, his name is Rockwell. So he went through what I went through, being bullied for his name. He was smaller. And one day he gets choked out in class. In the gym, some kid comes up behind him, starts choking him. He somehow gets free and pushes him off. And before he goes unconscious and whatnot. And the teacher comes in and my son gets suspended. And I told the teacher, I said, we're going out for ice cream. When the principal called, kids getting suspended, I said, we're going to celebrate. This kid did exactly what I told him to. He needs to stand up for himself, right? But I had this amazing conversation with him. I said, Rockwell, what happened? And he told me. I said, what do you think about this? What do you think you learned from this? Why, if we have a God, we talk about God all the time, about how God loves us. Why would God let this happen to you? You're a good kid.
Yeah.
And his response was amazing. He says, Dad, I think that maybe this happens so that when I see somebody else get in trouble, I know I can stand up for them too. Because our kids are no longer allowed to stand up for themselves, they don't think they can stand up for anybody else. But when you and I went to school, if we didn't throw the first punch and we stood up for ourselves, the consequences weren't there. We'd get a little talking to, but they'd send us back to class and be like, you were justified. Our kids are losing this. And the same thing happens in our homes. I've got 3 boys. Sometimes I just got to let them go at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Let them see that they can stand for themselves.
Yeah. I often think, what does our future look like?
Yeah.
And when I see people pull out their phones whenever a fight happens instead of intervening, have you seen that?
It's crazy. I don't understand it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I carried a gun whenever I felt like I was threatened. And I don't think that the mindset for carrying a firearm is what it was either. I mean, there's a whole thing to defeat there. It's not right to fight,
No.
but you can get beat up.
Yeah.
Right. And it's okay for you to get beat up now instead of fight back.
Yeah.
I don't know when that happened, but
it's scary.
Yeah.
Well, and you talk about it, like if one of these kids that doesn't know how to stand up for themselves started carrying, they would not know how to react in a really prudent manner that would keep everybody around them safe. If they pulled out that firearm and just acted like they're in a video game, like we really aren't training our kids to be able to handle crisis in the moment. Right. And that's what I love about horses is you get on a horse and the horse starts to go a little bit crazy. You have to stay calm while the storm's underneath you.
Yeah.
Our kids are not learning how to stay calm in the storm. They're learning how to be a spectator.
Yeah, it's true. Or they're expecting that the saddle will keep them instead of digging their heels in.
Yep.
I'm sorry. For everyone who doesn't know how to ride a horse, whenever it starts getting crazy, you want to make sure your knees and your feet are as close to that thing as possible so you can ride it out, not get bucked off. But if you do get bucked off,
you get back on.
Yeah.
Dust off and get on. I mean, how many, the saying when I was growing up is put a little bit of dirt on it.
Yeah, rub a little dirt on it. That's funny. Yeah. But okay, I got to get back into this. So the parts of the story that surprised me was when he was in your house.
Yeah.
And you guys had film. Did you have like film of him doing the stuff that he did?
No. So we've got. It was really cool. The detectives afterwards, I sat down with them and they gave me copies of all the crime scene photos.
Okay.
So we can track where he was at through the crime scene photos, and that's what we have.
Yeah. So, I mean, he sat down, he grabbed your wife's purse.
Yeah.
The common mistake is, the sensor back then kept the garage door from closing. He comes in because he saw an open door, right?
Yep. Yeah, I just saw an opportunity.
And then he grabs your wife's purse, which is out in the kitchen.
It was just right. So when you walked into our room, there was like this catch-all, like the clutter table, right when you walk in the garage door.
Yeah. And
it was just sitting there with her cell phone. So he pocketed her cell phone, grabbed her purse, and started going through her wallet looking for some easy cash.
And then he grabbed some M&Ms or something.
Yeah, he while doing that, he sat down on the living room sofa, and we had this jar full of M&Ms, and he ate M&Ms and put some in his pocket as well. So we call it the Hansel and Gretel trail. We know where he went because there's M&Ms in the crime scene photos that go all the way down the street when he ran away.
Gosh.
So there's just M&Ms everywhere that were falling out while he was fighting. And
he filled his pockets.
Yeah, he filled his pockets with M&Ms.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So, he goes in, he takes off his shoes too.
Yeah.
Did you find his shoes at your house later?
That's how they identified him so his DNA and my DNA, they think I broke his nose. They don't think I cut him, but the blood was just intermingled.
Yeah.
And his blood was so saturated into my blood. My blood was everywhere.
You got stabbed, dude.
Yeah, I got stabbed 7 times, actually.
7 times?
Yeah. So
the first time you told me about.
Yes. And so after that, when I came in to attack him, he had the knife up. And so I grabbed the knife by the blade. They consider it stab wounds, but 2 fingers were severed pretty bad. They were able to keep them, but they were cut down to the bone. And then after I got a nick in my right shoulder, and then after I lost consciousness at 3 minutes in, I was on my stomach trying to pin him, lost consciousness. He got out from underneath me, stabbed me twice in the back, and then ran out of the house. And so in the process of getting the knife out of my hands, he cut across the back of my hand. So there's your 7. So chest, 2 fingers, back of the hand, right shoulder, and then 2 in the back.
And you guys were talking during this fight.
We were talking. The only conversation I remember is I had him pinned at one point.
Yeah.
And I basically said, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Give me all your money." Well, I mean, I'm a poor married guy.
Yeah.
I don't have cash. I didn't know my wife had stashed $300 cash in her purse that he didn't see. And so I said, "Just take my truck, take my wallet, please leave us." And that's when you heard sirens in the background.
Yeah.
And that's when I blacked out.
Because your wife had called the cops? Is that what happened?
My wife, when he came up, so we were able to shove him off the bed, and his foot got caught up in the drywall, which was, oh man, a huge blessing. Because I sat up to go see what was going on, try to figure out my next step. My wife grabbed my cell phone and ran down the hall calling 911.
Yeah.
And that's when he got his foot free and he says, "I'm going to kill you." And he was looking at my wife, and it was just like, boom, full on protection, cowboy mode. Yeah. I came off the bed, and that's when we were going at it toe to toe.
You had to feel something in that moment.
Oh man, it was scared, and it was just, I think I reverted back to high school days. Once I hit about my senior year, I was kind of 6 foot tall, 185 pounds. I was a little bit on the bigger side.
Yeah.
I got in a lot of fights stepping in because other people were in trouble. And again, my dad just saying that's a cowboy's job. Stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves. That was a saying. And so it was just like all of a sudden I just went in that mode of, okay, it's time to step in and just protect somebody that can't protect themselves.
He got his foot stuck. Is that because you guys kicked him into the wall?
Yeah, it's so crazy. Somehow my wife and I, the best way I can say it is, as a kid, my older siblings would kind of lay on their back, bring their knees to their chest, and you'd sit on their feet, and they would just shoot me across the room into like a beanbag chair, right?
Okay, yeah.
We both did that at the same time and shoved him in the air off the bed, and his foot went into the drywall, and he got hung up for about 25 seconds or so.
Wow. So during that 25 seconds, you had time to assess.
Yeah. I had time to assess and try to think, what am I going to do?
Yeah. But
it was when he got up, it was just like I stopped thinking and just reacted.
All right, man, I'm going to go into this a little bit because most people who haven't experienced this, this is important for them to know. Whenever you experience an adrenaline where you're getting your life threatened, one of three things normally happens. And I'd like to know what happened to you. One of the things is you feel like you're moving slow. Yeah. So you can't, you're like, why am I not moving as fast as I can? And it's because your brain's processing everything in hyperspeed. So you're moving faster than normal, but you're giving yourself more time to think. That's common.
Yeah.
The other thing is people pee themselves. Your body gets rid of everything to make it more lighter, to get away and to fight. So a lot of people pee themselves, and most people don't talk about it. And then the last thing is tunnel vision. Now, during like stabbing events, there's a loss of blood that goes along with that tunnel vision. But everyone, they take it's just like horse blinders, right?
Yeah.
It goes woof, and whatever's in front of you is the only thing that you can think.
Yeah.
You can focus on. Did any of that stuff happen to you?
You know, I've never really thought about it, but and being 20 years ago, your memory is kind of an amazing thing. I've talked about this story, and I've shared the story thousands of times, right? As you asked them that question, I started thinking about it. I remember the slow motion. I remember sitting in my bed, and what happened was as I sat up, my wife ran across behind me and grabbed that cell phone and started going down the hall. And I remember looking at her leaving the room and thinking, what do I do? Like, do I follow? Like, I'm trying to figure out. And it was like everything slowed down. I see her. It's almost like in the movies when it slows down and like everything audible around you goes muffled.
Right.
And it's just like, and then all of a sudden as I hear him saying, he said, I'm going to effing kill you at my wife. Wow. I looked over at him and I see him standing up with that knife raised up and his vision is on my wife. And it was like everything zoomed into fast forward again. And I came off the bed. I grew up watching the old Batman and Robin, right? Yeah. And he kind of leads his punches like a diving punch. I remember coming off the bed in just this diving punch and hitting him across the face. And that's why they think I broke his nose. My hand was swollen huge. And sure. I just pummeled him across the face as many times as I could, grabbing at the knife. So it's interesting you say that because in the moment I was trying to take that assessment. And it's hard because you're divided. Yeah. My wife's here. My job is to protect her. Do I go and flank her, like get behind her and make sure that I'm getting her to safety? Do I turn to the attacker? Where's my priority? And he helped me decide that priority when he made a threat to her.
Yeah.
And that's when that reaction kicked in.
I want to pull this thread a little bit more because you said 25 seconds and it probably felt like 25 seconds.
It probably wasn't that long.
I bet you it was 5.
I bet it was.
And the whole thing is, and like I said, you can train yourself to be one or the other. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman wrote a book called On Killing, and he talks about like the psychology that happens in combat. And he used to come out and talk to us before we go into combat zone. So that's where I got all this from.
Yeah.
And then whenever I got shot at, I was like, okay, I know what I do. And it was the same. It was like my hand moves slower, and I feel like, but it's only because my instinct is to fight.
Yeah.
So if you are a fighter, you get more time to process the fight, and you prioritized it sounds like, which is cool.
Yeah. I think that came from, man, I got myself in some really hairy situations because when you're the little kid that has a big name and you create that, I don't know if it's even a Napoleon complex is a thing, but you got to fight. You got to show how tough you are. And I mean, I can tell you, I've been in corners where 3 guys were in the bathroom cornering me in a bathroom. surrounded by about 15 people that were threatening me at once. In fact, at one point, as a junior, I made the entire senior class so mad at me that they surrounded the junior locker cages, and I was the only one in there, and they were chanting my name to come out to cause some damage. There was probably 50 of them.
What did you do?
You know, I was running for student council. I was trying to figure it out. And this was the first time that we weren't going to do a live speech. Mm-hmm. They were going to broadcast your speech. And I thought they were broadcasting it to the junior class. So my speech was basically, if you make me senior vice president, we'll have pride in Mountain View Toro pride again. Because the seniors this year, they don't do anything. They don't have any. I just dug into the seniors and just tore into them.
Yeah.
And I walked out after they showed that video and realized they broadcast it to the entire school.
Oh my god.
So I was taped to a tree. I was hit in the back of the head with rocks.
What?
They showed up at my house and egged my house like every night for like a week. Like I kind of brought it on myself, but
unknowingly,
right? Coolest experience though is, you know, I'm in this locker cage and all these these seniors are chanting my name. One of them that was a friend of mine came in and tried dragging me out. Somehow I was able to get away from him. And I put my back up against the lockers.
Yeah.
And then my next door neighbor, this star athlete, walks in, never said much to me. And as he walks up to me, I'm thinking, there's no way I'm getting away from this guy.
Yeah.
And he stops and he pauses and then he just smiles. And he turns and puts his back to me and he says, if you want him, you go through me. It changed my mindset as a teenager. And that's why my senior year, I spent that time trying to do the same thing. Because I realized one person with a backbone
stops it.
50 people looked down in shame and walked away.
Yeah.
Right. And I talked to him years later. He forgot he did it.
Yeah. Because it's just who he was.
It's just who he was.
And you are just who you are based off of your experiences and your ability to take in what you were taught your whole life and become that person that you now are.
Yeah. But think about cascading ripple effect.
Yeah.
That one guy does that to me, and I've shared that story on stages at schools. How many other people are doing the same thing because that one guy? And he has no idea the effect that he had. I mean, I get a little bit emotional about it, but think about it. I mean, and that's the person I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be the person that I forget that I did it, but it had a ripple effect that changes something.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to interview Eric Audet after he called out Hollywood for the celebration of his friend, Charlie Kirk.
Wow.
And he was imprisoned for 3 years wrongfully in Pakistan, put on death row. And when he says this, it comes from that whole experience where, you know, they were threatening to kill him every day. And they were trying to, you know, keep him there. And they would lock him in solitary confinement in dark rooms. And he said that the smallest light lights up the brightest in the darkest times.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, but you know, he's like, I want people to realize they can be that light, and you have that ability.
Yeah.
So self-talking in the mirror.
Yeah.
You made yourself somebody different. That was a decision you made.
Yeah.
And then you took that and you gave it to your community, to be a protector and to embody the cowboy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Which is not to be lazy when it comes to protecting others. And then also you really protect your family.
Yeah.
So after this whole event, you know, where I remember the culmination of where you usually stop your story during the whole attack scenario is you blacked out with sirens in the background.
Yeah.
What was the last thought that you had?
I remember seeing him run out. Well, so I blacked out and I came to pretty quickly. And so that first blackout, I didn't have time to think. It happened. The second one was more impactful because I'm laying there on my back. I roll over and I can see, I'm looking down past my feet to see him running away from where I somehow know my wife is at. Like somewhere in the back of my head, I remember hearing a door slam. And so she had locked herself in a room. And as I see him running out, I'm sitting here thinking, hopefully she's safe. I can start to kind of relax and let go a little bit, right? And that's when I noticed the blood just pumping out. And it was the weirdest feeling of calm and peace.
Where did you notice it the first time? Like, was it your hand or?
It was my chest.
Is your chest?
Yeah.
You looked down and you saw it?
I thought that he had hit me in the chest when I first was attacked. I didn't realize he had stabbed me. And so the whole time I'm fighting with him,
thinking he just punched you in the chest.
He just hit me, right? Or that he was preparing for that. Because by the time I came to, he had the knife up. So it was almost like, my brain just didn't process that I was stabbed. And so it's like all of a sudden the blood, I see the blood, and I remember lifting my hand up and putting it on my chest to try to stop it. Just how. And this peace came over me, this calmness of, you did your job.
Yeah. You felt that you did all that you could, and you felt, it's not pride, but you accomplished, you felt like it was safe again.
I felt like if my purpose was to keep my wife safe and my unborn child safe, I had done it.
Yeah.
And I've never thought about that in the sense of, how many other people experience that in the moment of, I hate to say heroic because I don't see myself as a hero, but
no, it's combat, man.
It's combat. It's in that moment of, I did my job. I sacrificed what I was willing to sacrifice, and I accept it with peace.
Yeah. So often people, they have combat experiences where they survive, and then if it doesn't work out like it did for you guys, thank God it did that it worked out like a way, and everyone's okay, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing that people don't always hear is we lost that child stillborn. It was our second attempt. We had already had a miscarriage. That was heartbreaking. The home, my wife couldn't go back, so we lost our home. We lost our unborn child. We lost our sense of security, and our marriage. Most people think that that's going to destroy the marriage, and so that was the worry in the back of the mind is where do we go? How do we rebuild? How do we start over?
Yeah. And
so that's a hard place to be. I think that part of my healing and the reason why I came out of it, and we all deal with trauma differently, but I think that too often we internalize the trauma and we relive it over and over again in such a negative way. The brain is so elastic. We can build our brain in a different way. And the simplest way I can say this is, I have told the story of my home invasion over 1,000 times easily. And every single time I highlight the amazing things that I've received as blessings from it. And
please tell us.
Well, and so here's the thing is I've stood in front of audiences all over the world, mostly teenagers, to share this story about you have more power to control your future and your destiny.
Yeah.
You have an ability to be your own hero. I stand in front of them and I talk about how I developed a deeper relationship with God. I developed a deeper relationship with my spouse, and I created out of that an opportunity to change lives. So if I go back and I revisit that home invasion, I would give and sacrifice everything I did over and over again because of what I've received from it it's an infinite amount of positivity. This is not a bad event in my life.
Right.
This is the greatest source of my strength and my identity and my truth and my ability to change people.
Wow.
And when you take your trauma and you're able to reshape it into something so positive, it's not trauma.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we miss, right? We miss the opportunities for those individuals that do amazing things in combat and don't have the opportunity to share their story in a positive light.
Yeah. Well, I hate it when we define things the way there's no black and white to this. What you experienced was hand-to-hand combat with a knife. And whenever you explain it, people don't realize what it is. I'm not sure. Have you ever thought about it as combat?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. So I was working at University of Phoenix at the time, and I had a friend who was in their military division that was former special ops.
Yeah.
And he came and sat down with me, and it was a great conversation. And he basically said, you do realize you've had more hand-to-hand combat than most active duty military.
It's very true.
Right?
It's very true.
And most don't have knife combat.
Yeah.
And so we had a great conversation about it. And he says, do you realize that that is like nobody that is trained wants to get in a knife fight? It is the brutalest. It's the worst. It's the worst, right?
Yeah.
And I experienced it. And so I started to think about that differently. Like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what it really comes down to is I look at the miracles that happened that I survived it. I looked and I went back and I thought, well, how did I survive it? And that's when I made that connection with all those times that I had those scuffles and rough fights when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
It taught me things. And so then that's where I started making connections. I was prepared for this hand-to-hand combat. No formal training other than I just learned how to scrap as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, for my audience, I was a combatives instructor, and
Okay.
we did knife fighting. And what knife fighting, what I would teach is it's very similar to fighting. So the way you explained it was you thought you got punched in the freaking chest.
Yeah.
That's exactly how someone who's trained with a knife would do it. But the blade holding and all that other stuff, that's all advanced tactics, but it's just fighting with an extension of your arm. And so your practice was all the fighting that you had already engaged in. But that's only the physical side. The mental side that you're explaining is far more greater, and it can be transferred a lot easier to people because it's an everyday fight. So tell me, so you talk to audiences, you talk to teenagers, right?
Yeah, mostly teenagers.
Yeah,
that's where my passions is. Yeah.
What do they say after you get off stage?
Because the way that I bring it in is I'm trying to explain to them and share with them this topic. So let me kind of take a step back and explain what I do with this. Because it seems crazy for somebody to come into a high school and do an assembly and be like, hey, and I got stabbed in the chest with a knife, by a knife and had to fight. And some principals kind of step back. And what I tell them is I say, this is what basically God gave me, because these kids are so ingrained in their stinking devices.
Yeah.
My favorite one was it was about 10 years ago. I was hesitant to share this because I sometimes I would speak without sharing the home invasion. And I'm looking and it's just every kid's face is in their stupid phone. I just see the glow of their face, of their phone on their face, and their head's down. I'm seeing the top of their head. And I said, and then the guy stabbed me in the chest, and every head comes up. And it's my opportunity to grab their attention and get that stupid phone put down. And so that's what I use it for. It's kind of a shock factor. It's to get them to look up. And then I can teach them about the strength of mental health and your own mind and the power of your mind, right?
Yeah.
And so what's amazing about this, though, is at the end, I always do a Q&A. And I say, whatever questions you have. And so they ask it pretty openly. And I do it in a couple different ways, but one of them is an anonymous way that they can send a question through their phone.
That's cool.
So some people just don't feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is when you had to fight for your life with suicidal ideation and then fight for your life from other people taking it from you, you're at two different ends of the spectrum. One of them is you're fighting your own mental desire to just end the pain, and you're not in a good space. And the other one is you want to live. You have a reason to live.
Yeah.
Right. So we talk about that, but these kids ask, what do you do if you're the one that wants to take your life? Like, what do you do? That's a question that comes up. That's a hard one. Because what if there's nobody in your corner? How do you become the person in your own corner?
Yeah. So what do you give them? What do you tell them?
I tell them that, what's amazing is that usually these kids ask about God. And if they ask about God, I'm allowed to talk about God.
Nice.
Right? But I tell them, and if they don't ask about God, I say, listen, we're not here by chance. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Whether you believe in God, whether you just believe in the universe, whether you believe in just a higher power, if you believe in just good quality life, whatever it is, there is a higher power that wants you to find joy, wants you to be happy. And if you don't have happiness, that's a hard place. But then I also say, but here's the other thing is, I can tell you 5 people in my life that at a moment's notice, if I just said I'm struggling, would have dropped everything. I felt so alone, and yet there were 5 people. And so I tell them, I say, I want you to think about 5 people right now that you feel comfortable talking to. And then we're going to choose one. I'm going to text them right now and just say, hey, I just want to let you know you mean a lot to me.
Wow.
Right.
That's good.
Because what happens, this, I call it the elementary playground theory or principle. If you were in elementary school and you had your first crush and you went to your buddy, like, yeah, dude, I think that so-and-so is cute and whatnot. Your friend now has this just really, they don't understand it, but it's something that drives them to share who their crush is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I reach out to my wife and I say, I love you, what does she always say? I love you back.
Right.
You reach out to somebody and you say, hey, I really appreciate you being a mentor to me in my life and what you do in my life. They come back with something positive.
Yes.
So if we can get these kids to pick up their phone and send a message to one of those 5 and say, hey, I really appreciate you being a part of my life. They get that positive feedback. And now, hey, that's the person you're going to turn to when you're struggling and you need help and you feel like there's nobody there. That person's in your corner and they just proved it.
Yeah. Birds of a feather flock together is the old saying.
Yeah.
And if your birds are positive, you probably will be too. Yeah. I love that, man. That's a fantastic, easy to use right now thing that you could probably give everyone. You probably do. You probably put it on stages and everyone leaves there improved. Yeah. That's amazing. All right. So let's talk about that. Top 5 people in your life influencing, like if you're around 5 criminals, you're going to be the 6th, you're around 5 fat bodies, you're going to add some weight, all this stuff is, I did a TED talk on that and I haven't really explored since, but this is a thought I'd like to pull with you since you're in this space too. Do you think the social media has become 1 or maybe 3 of those people in people's lives because they don't interact like they used to?
Yeah, I love that you say 1 or 3 because every single one of them is 1, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, there's 3 right there. The algorithms are what you feed into it.
Yeah.
Right. So if these kids are feeding into it all this negative feedback, that's all they're getting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the kids really understand how to beat the algorithm. Right. As an adult, it took me years to figure out how to beat it.
Yeah.
And so they're inviting. And the other thing is when I was a kid, I went home. I didn't have the social media. I didn't have the online bullying. I didn't have any of that. I could escape to a place that was safe. And I was fortunate to have a safe home. Some people don't have that. But now kids go home and their parents aren't engaging with them. So they pick up their phone and now they're engaging with strangers that are that negative feedback. It's just constant beating them down. Right.
Have you seen that Roblox stuff? Have you heard about that? Where there's a lot of bad stuff on Roblox.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, have you pulled the string on that one?
My kids were on Roblox quite a bit.
Yeah.
And my youngest son, he's 14 now. All of a sudden we started to realize that there was somebody trying to groom him.
Right.
Yeah. It's scary. It's a game. Why?
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, but it's not. And some people are trying to make it. I read an article about this really awesome guy. He spent a ton of time building a safe zone for autistic kids in Roblox.
Really?
And it's a separate part of Roblox that these autistic kids can go to, and they limit who can get in there, and they're safe, right? But why isn't Roblox the entire thing like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, they lost $6 billion thanks to the Sean Ryan podcast that when he outed everybody doing all that stuff, and good. Yeah. Good. That's the power of words being out there like they can be. But the reason why I asked that is because all of the influences that we have, the 3 to 5 influences, they are affecting the way, like you said, the parents are all busy. Yeah. They got their own social media woes. Their faces are stuck in their phones too. But if you can just separate and then add something positive to someone's life by sending them a text message, use technology for good. Yeah. And you're advocating on that. Yeah. So I love it.
Well, so here's the scary thing is you got to add a 4th one if you're saying 3, because AI is a new influence that's coming out.
Do you use AI?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What do you use AI for?
I use it for business all the time. I use it to prepare for my speeches. I use it for religious purposes, but you have to train your AI. Right. My AI knows when I ask it a question, I want certain things and there's certain things I don't want. Right. Yeah. And again, these kids just don't know how to train it, or they just don't care to train it, And so we need to, I would love for somebody to create a positive AI that was just it was always on the positive. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exploring that. I had someone on my show. I had Casey Marquette on my show. He's an AI expert. and he uses it to match people in human relations for like technology and executives.
Wow.
And yeah, he was telling me like all the times that he's used AI. He's been grooming AI to give him the things that he needs. And if you're not spending time with it, you're right. It's not a relationship that you can develop without spending time with it. It's so weird, man. So this is going to go into time now, because like how you spend your time is who you become.
Yeah.
And Jim Rohn used to say that, your brain can't tell the difference between sugar and strychnine. When you're looking at stuff, you don't know whether it's positive or negative, and one of them can kill you.
Yeah.
So if you're paying attention to the ingredients that you put in your life, maybe you won't die a death from depression.
Yeah.
But on that tip, do you train AI to be positive?
I train AI to be positive. I train AI. So what's interesting about AI is AI knows me well enough that when I ask it a question, it kicks back now and it says, is this for speaking? Is this for your business? Which business is it for? It asks these questions. Mm-hmm. And then even after I say this is for business, if it's a leadership principle, at the end, it'll say, do you want me to develop this into a leadership principle that you can teach others?
Yeah.
So AI has learned my personality to know that I'm always, I call it live outside. I used to have a hashtag live outside. And, the first thought is it's live outside out in the wilderness or whatever. I'm an outdoors guy. It's not, it's live outside yourself. Mm. Every aspect of what I do, I'm thinking, how can I affect other people for the positive? Yeah. Right? AI now knows that. And so now AI is like, hey, do you want this to be something you can share on social media? Is this something you want to put a LinkedIn post out? So and that's what I love about AI is it's like, it thinks about living outside more than I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting what it becomes, because it's trying to hyper learn everything that it can. Do you think AI is dangerous as a cowboy?
Yeah.
You're going to give me the raw answer. I know, but do you think AI is dangerous?
So one of my principles that I believe in regards to God is everything of value comes from God. Everything of value, the enemy or Satan tries to take and twist to devious means, right? I think that AI has amazing, amazing, awesome potential, but I think that the enemy of all of us inspires those with evil intent to take it down a perverse way that can be very, very dangerous. And it's up to each one of us to put those safeguards in place for ourselves and those people around us. Becoming a protector is different. Yeah. It used to be my fists, and now it's my keyboard with my kids. It's just weird.
Yeah, that's not. How do you protect your kids with the online presence? How are you engaging from that security perspective as a father? How are you pushing out into that space? What do you do?
With my kids' phones go into my room every night. I have full access to see it, but I have safeguards. My 14-year-old does not have access to an internet browser.
Okay.
If he needs the internet browser, we can approve it for 15, 20 minutes if it's something for school, and then it goes away, right? My 16-year-old has an internet browser, but it's limited on certain websites that he can't go to. I've got a 19-year-old who just actually landed in Poland to serve a mission for our church for the next 18 months, nice. Right? Yep. When she was 16 years old, she said, hey, I want social media. We said, okay, great. Let's sit down and talk about it. And we took her to several people that are great friends of mine that just understand social media and its risks. And we had her connect with them. We had her look at their social media, and we said, okay, do you want social media? She says, this stuff is scary. I don't want social media. Mm-hmm. And she didn't get it till she was 18, till she felt she was ready. So I think that's what, again, we got to empower our kids, teach our kids. These are the risks. This is what's going to happen on social media. This is the potential. Do you really want this in your life?
Yeah.
And if we've raised them right, they're going to say, I'm not ready for it if they're not ready for it. And if they are, it's our job as parents to coach them while they're in our home how to use social media responsibly, so then when they leave our home, we feel confident that they've got a great foundation on how to use that stuff.
Man, that is so good. Because, as a developing brain, it's hard to fathom, what someone could go down into, especially with the Roblox example that we talked about earlier. So Ben Owens put a post out on LinkedIn, I think, the other day, and it said, he holds these little cards, He's the CEO of Black Rifle, and on it it said, the devil opens doors too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think social media, I think what you're saying with AI and social media, that card holds true because it's easy to go in there. I mean, personal story. I've been through some pretty rough patches as I've grown my social media following, which, hey, thank you for joining, my YouTube journey over the last year. We've become a top 1% podcast in a short period of time because of all the people that are following. But truth in lending, I'm not looking at all the people that are following.
Yeah.
It would take me a long time to go through 100,000 people and vet them to see if they're worthy of my show. It's a publicly open show. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, that's a scary door I'm opening.
Yeah.
Because some of the people that are probably following the show aren't good people. And the people that I've interviewed on here, I've interviewed a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
I've interviewed some Mormons, Christians. So I've interviewed, some people that believe in Allah and the Muslim faith. I've interviewed people that have their own religion. I've interviewed people on the opposite side. I've interviewed all of them to find the things that make them go, and they all have a connection to something.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And where I'm finding all of this kind of tied together is, whenever you don't have a connection to something, you are lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if your connection is to social media, it's bad. And what happens there is, whoever's following me becomes a question that I have with my significant other.
Yeah.
Like, why is this person following me?
Yeah.
Why are you following them back?
Yeah.
That's a bad question to answer because it's really easy to accidentally follow somebody or follow somebody just because they're connected to someone else or follow somebody just because you're tired and you're like, okay, whatever. And not really look at it. So what I do when I'm on stage is I'm like, everybody pull out your phone. They're already out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, go into your favorite social media platform, whatever it is. Don't care what it is. Open it up. Open up that application. Now your first 3 posts are going to tell you what the world thinks you are and what you think you are. Because that's a habit that you've formed with this relationship. Like, I love how you said that. It's a relationship.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at your top 3 posts, it's going to tell you whether or not you're using it for good or bad.
Yeah.
Is it negative? Is it like relationship advice because you're having problems? Like, why are you having problems? Because you're not communicating, Yeah. So all the things.
Yeah.
Do you have smut stuff? Whether it's a guy, chopping wood in a flannel, or it's a girl wearing a bikini, there are spectrums there, and they are all indicators. Your top 3 will tell you who it is. Yeah, man. Have you done that? Have you gone through your social media?
I have.
Do you do it often?
I did it years ago, and I did it kind of a little bit recently.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that, we go down rabbit holes, right? Something intrigues us. So right now, for instance, CES is going on, 2026, the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm kind of a geek. And so I've looked at a lot of stuff for CES. Well, guess what's happening to all my stuff now? It's all electronic stuff.
Yeah.
So most people don't know this. You can go into your settings and actually reset your algorithm. You start from scratch. And so I've realized I'm probably going to have to either up what else I want to look at, or I just start from scratch and then just hyper focus on the things that are good, right? And that's the amazing thing about it, is that it's a reset, but it's a principle. We all can do a reset.
Yeah.
I mean, every day of our lives, we can be like, listen, I'm done being who I was. There's a certain part of my life that is not right, and I just need a reset. And the powerful thing is when we do it on our own. The hardest thing is when that higher power, when God reaches in and says, you didn't do it on your own, I need a reset.
Yeah, that is hard.
And I just went through one, and I'm kind of in the middle of it right now, and it's been a process. And there have been days where I've woken up angry at God, angry at the situation, and it's just hard, right?
Yeah.
And what do you do in that moment? And the power is again, those 5 people, your 5 influences.
Yeah.
Are you turning to them and bringing them into your reset?
Yeah. Stay with us as we stay on target with another awesome episode coming up next. We'll see you there. And subscribe to Targeted Now. As an ambassador to buckedup.com, I get to give you our special discount. That's Atlas25 when you go to buckedup.com to get that special discount. Only for our listeners, Atlas25. Go to buckedup.com now. Entrepreneurs, you're wasting money. Are you paying for TV, radio, maybe even newspapers? I gotta tell you, that's all dead. What's new? Well, I'm glad you asked, Atlas. It's podcasting. Just so happens I have a very successful podcast that I can put you on. And we're looking for guests. So if you have a product or service that will help people, hit us up. Atlas Aultman Targeted Podcast. We bring new audiences to new people, and we bring new people to, well, you check us out.